The voicemail started playing before I even unlocked my phone. My mother's voice, tight and shaking. "Vanessa, please. You need to call us back. It's urgent." I deleted it without listening to the rest. It was the 7th message in 2 hours. My brother Tyler had sent 12 texts and my father left 3 voicemails, each one more desperate than the last. 48 hours ago they told me I was dead. Now they were begging and I wasn't answering. Before we go any further, if stories about family betrayal and unexpected justice speak to you, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Like this video and leave a comment where you are listening from. You're not going to want to miss what happens next. Before we get into it, I would like you to grab a cup of coffee and stay with me as we ride together into this story. I grew up in a house that looked normal from the outside. 2-story brick home in a quiet suburb. Basketball hoop in the driveway. Christmas lights every December. But inside, everything revolved around one person. Tyler, my older brother by 3 years, and according to my parents, the single greatest accomplishment of their entire lives. I'm not exaggerating. My mother actually said that once at a family dinner when I was 14. Tyler is our greatest gift. I was sitting right there. From the time we were kids, the difference was clear. His birthday parties had themes, magicians, and rented bounce houses. Mine had cake from the grocery store and whoever showed up. When he made the varsity soccer team as a freshman, my father took him to dinner at the nicest steakhouse in town. When I made an honor roll every single semester for 4 years straight, my mother said, "That's nice, honey," without looking up from her phone. I learned early that my achievements didn't register the same way he did. It wasn't that I failed. It was that I succeeded quietly, and quiet success didn't earn applause in our house. Tyler wasn't cruel in an obvious way. He didn't bully me or call me names. He just existed in the center of everything while I learned to live in the margins. When he talked, everyone listened. When I talked, I got interrupted. He could ask for new shoes, a laptop, money for trips with friends, and my parents handed it over without hesitation. I asked for help with college application fees, and my father sighed like I'd asked him to buy me a car. The pattern continued into adulthood. Tyler graduated college with a business degree he barely earned, partied through most of it, then landed a job at my uncle's company. Within 2 years he was promoted twice, not because he was good at the job, but because my parents made sure my uncle knew how important it was. Meanwhile, I worked 2 jobs to finish my nursing degree. I graduated with honors. My mother didn't come to the ceremony. She said Tyler had a work thing that same weekend and she didn't want him to feel alone. I stopped expecting things to change and I stopped hoping my parents would notice me the way they noticed him. I built my own life. A small apartment, reliable car, a job at a hospital where people respected my work. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. And for a while that was enough. Then my grandmother died. My father's mother, the one person in the family who ever treated me like I mattered. She left behind her house, a small 2-bedroom cottage on the edge of town. It needed work, but it had good bones. And according to her will, she left it to me. Not Tyler or my parents. The will was clear. The house and everything in it went to Vanessa Monroe. I didn't expect my family to be happy for me. But I didn't expect what actually happened either. The lawyer's office smelled like old leather and coffee that had been sitting too long. My parents sat on one side of the table. Tyler leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, smirking like this was all some kind of joke. I sat across from them, hands folded in my lap, trying to keep my face neutral. The lawyer, an older man named Mr. Callahan, read the will slowly. When he got to the part about the house, my mother's face went pale. My father's jaw clenched and Tyler laughed. Wait, he said, leaning forward. Grandma left the house to her? Why would she do that? Mr. Callahan adjusted his glasses. Mrs. Monroe made her wishes very clear. The property goes to Vanessa. My mother's voice came out sharp. This doesn't make sense. Tyler is the eldest. He's the one who's been responsible, who's built a career. Vanessa works at a hospital and she doesn't need a house. She left it to me, I said quietly. That's what the will says. Don't be selfish, my father snapped. This house could be an investment for Tyler. He could flip it, make something out of it. You just live in it. I stared at him. That's what houses are for. Living in them. Tyler scoffed. Come on, Nessa. Be realistic. You're not going to maintain that place. Let me handle it. I'll even cut you in on the profit. No, I said. The word hung in the air. My mother's eyes narrowed. Excuse me. I said no. Grandma left the house to me. I'm keeping it. My father stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. You're being ridiculous. This is family property and it should stay in the family. I am family, I said, my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. Not if you keep acting like this, my mother said coldly. The room went silent. Mr. Callahan cleared his throat uncomfortably. I looked at my mother, then at my father, then at Tyler, who was watching me with that same smug expression he'd had since we were kids. Are you serious? I asked. Sign the house over to Tyler, my father said. Or we're done. I felt something crack inside me. Not loudly, just a clean, quiet break. Then we're done. I stood up, grabbed my bag and walked out. Behind me I heard my mother call my name, but it didn't sound worried. It sounded angry and didn't look back. That night I sat in my apartment with the lights off, staring at my phone. No calls or no text from them. I thought maybe they'd reach out to apologize, say they didn't mean it. But the silence stretched on. 1 day. 2 days, in a week. My mother blocked my number. My father changed his voicemail to not accept messages from unknown contacts. Tyler posted photos on social media, family dinners, game nights, my parents smiling like nothing had happened. Like I had never existed. I tried to push it down. I went to work and smiled at patients. I came home and sat in the quiet and told myself I was fine. But I wasn't fine. I was angry. The kind of anger that sits low in your stomach and doesn't go away. They had spent my entire life making me feel invisible. And now they have erased me completely. 2 weeks after the will reading, I drove out to my grandmother's house. I hadn't been inside since she passed. The key felt heavy in my hand as I unlocked the front door. Inside, everything was exactly as she'd left it. Her furniture, her books, her photos on the walls. It smelled like lavender and old wood. I walked through the rooms slowly, running my fingers along the surfaces, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something other than anger. I felt her presence. My grandmother, who used to let me sit in her kitchen and talk about nursing school while she made tea. Who told me I was smart, capable, worth listening to. Who left me this house because she knew what my family was. I sat down on her old sofa and cried. Not because I was sad, but because I was done. Done hoping and waiting. Done trying to earn love from people who would never give it. And that's when I found the box. It was in the hallway closet, tucked behind a stack of old blankets. A small wooden box with my name carved into the lid. I pulled it out, my heart pounding, and opened it. Inside was a letter written in my grandmother's shaky handwriting, and a folder of documents. The letter was short. Vanessa, if you're reading this, then you've already faced what I knew was coming. Your parents will not be kind. But you are stronger than they ever gave you credit for. This house is yours. Everything in it is yours. Including what I've left in this folder. Use it wisely only when you're ready. I love you. Always. Grandma. I set the letter down and opened the folder. My hands were shaking. Inside were copies of financial documents, bank statements, loan agreements and receipts. All in my father's name. All tied to my uncle's company. The same company where Tyler worked. My grandmother had kept records. Years of them. My father had been borrowing money from her for over a decade. Large amounts. 20,000 here. 30,000 there. He told her it was for investments for the family and emergencies. But the records showed something else. The money went to my uncle's company, which my father co-owned in secret. A company that was failing badly. And Tyler's promotions, his salary, his success. It was all funded by my grandmother's money. Money my father had promised to pay back and never did. The folder also contained something else. A contract. Signed by my father, witnessed by my grandmother's lawyer. It stated clearly that if the loans were not repaid within 10 years of her passing, the debt would transfer to her estate. And since I now owned her estate, the debt transferred to me. My father owed me over $200,000. I sat there on the floor, the documents spread around me, and for the first time in weeks I smiled. I didn't call or text them. I went to my grandmother's lawyer the next morning, the same Mr. Callahan who had read the will. I brought the folder and explained everything. He read through the documents carefully, his expression neutral, and then he looked up at me. This is legally binding, he said. Your father owes this money to your grandmother's estate. Which means he owes it to you. Can I demand repayment? Yes. Immediately if you choose. I leaned back in my chair. What happens if he can't pay? Mr. Callahan folded his hands. Then you can pursue legal action. Loans on property. Wage garnishment. Seizure of assets. It depends on how far you want to take it. I thought about my parents sitting in that same office 2 weeks ago, telling me I wasn't family. I thought about Tyler laughing. I thought about every birthday they forgot, every achievement they ignored, every time they made me feel like I didn't matter. I want to send him a formal demand letter, I said, requesting full repayment within 48 hours. Mr. Callahan raised an eyebrow. That's a very short timeline. I know. He nodded slowly. I'll draft it today. The letter went out the next morning. Certified mail. My father would have to sign for it. I went to work that day like normal and checked vitals. I administered medications. I smiled at patients and pretended my hands weren't shaking. By the time my shift ended, I had 3 missed calls from my mother. I didn't listen to the voicemails. That night, I sat on my couch with a cup of tea and finally pressed play. The first message was my mother, her voice tight. Vanessa, your father received a letter today. We need to talk. Call me back. The second message was angrier. This is ridiculous. You can't actually be serious. Call me. Now. The third message was my father. His voice was low, controlled, and dangerous. I don't know what you think you're doing, but you need to stop. This is a family business. We can work this out. I deleted all 3 and went to bed. The next morning, my phone started ringing at 6 a.m. My mother. I let it go to voicemail. She called again and again. Then Tyler called. Then my father. By noon, I had 23 missed calls. I turned my phone on silent and went to the grocery store. When I got home, there was a car in my apartment parking lot. My father's car. He was standing by the door to my building, arms crossed, face red. My mother sat in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead. Tyler was in the back, scrolling on his phone. I took a breath and walked toward them. Vanessa, my father said, his voice strained. We need to talk. No, we don't. You can't do this, he said, stepping closer. You can't just demand that kind of money. It's not reasonable. It's what you owe. I don't have it, he said, his voice rising. You know I don't have it. Then you shouldn't have borrowed it. My mother got out of the car. Her eyes were red, but I couldn't tell if she'd been crying or if she was just angry. This is your grandmother's fault, she said. She poisoned you against us. I stared at her. She didn't have to. You did that yourselves. We're your family, my father said. You can't do this to your family. You disowned me 2 weeks ago. The words landed hard. My father's face went pale. My mother looked away and Tyler finally glanced up from his phone, his expression uncomfortable for the first time I could remember. We didn't mean it like that, my mother said weakly. Yes, you did. Vanessa, please, my father said, and for the first time his voice cracked. If you push this, it'll destroy everything. The company. Tyler's job and our house. I know. He stared at me. You'd really do that? To your own family? I met his eyes. You're not my family. You made that very clear. I turned and walked into my building. Behind me, I heard my mother start to cry. I didn't look back. That night, the calls kept coming. Voicemails piled up. My father is begging. My mother pleaded. Tyler finally sent a text that just said, "Come on. Don't be like this." I blocked all of them. Mr. Callahan called me the next morning. Your father's attorney reached out. They're requesting a meeting to negotiate terms. No negotiations, I said. Full repayment or I move forward with legal action. There was a pause. Are you sure? Yes. Understood. 48 hours passed. No payment came. I gave Mr. Callahan the approval to move forward. Within a week, loans were filed against my father's property. His wages were garnished. The co-ownership of my uncle's company became public record, and when the company's board found out about the debt and the secret financial entanglement, they launched an investigation. Tyler was let go. My parents' house went up for sale. I didn't feel triumphant or vindicated. I just felt quiet. Like a weight I'd been carrying my entire life had finally been set down. 3 months later, I moved into my grandmother's house. I repainted the walls and fixed the porch. I planted flowers in the front yard. It wasn't much, but it was mine now. My coworkers helped me move furniture. My friends threw me a housewarming party. People who actually cared about me, who saw me, who valued me, filled the rooms with laughter and warmth. One evening, I was sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee when a car pulled up. My father got out slowly. He looked older and tired. He walked up to the porch and stopped at the bottom of the steps. "Can I talk to you?" he asked. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at him. Finally, I said, "You have 5 minutes." He nodded, staying where he was. "I'm sorry," he said. "For everything. For how we treated you and for what we said." "Hey," I said. He blinked. "That's it? Just okay. What do you want me to say?" "I want you to forgive us. I want us to be a family again." I set my coffee down. "We were never a family. Not really. You had Tyler. I was just there." "That's not true." "Yes, it is. And you proved it when you disowned me over a house." He looked down. "We were wrong." "I know." "So what now?" he asked, his voice breaking. "You just never speak to us again?" I stood up. "I don't owe you anything, Dad. Not my forgiveness. Not my time or my house. You made your choices. Now you live with them." He opened his mouth to respond, but I walked inside and closed the door. I watched through the window as he stood there for a long moment, then got back in his car and drove away. I never heard from him again. Tyler reached out once, months later. A single text. "I'm sorry. I didn't think it would go this far." I didn't respond. My mother sent a card on my birthday the next year. I didn't open it. They made their choice. And I made mine. If you've ever been taken for granted, overlooked, or erased by the people who were supposed to love you, I hope this story reminds you that you're not alone. You don't owe anyone access to your life, especially people who only valued you when they needed something. Hit that subscribe button, like and share this video with someone, and drop a comment about your own experience. And remember, sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one.